Usually that's really crystal clear, but it's got a nice sort of darkish tinge. Whether that's to do with floods and stuff like that, I don't know, and it's just filtering out. But so we've got the 3 rods. That's where we were last night. It's funny, I was having a little walk around here, and that must have been about 2 or 3 in the morning. Right, so we've got the spod there. New spod I brought, and this is the spod mix. It's just basically some crumb, and I've got some like bream and carp sweetener in there as well, just mixed in with some water, casters. I've got a few bits of sweet corn, a few crushed up bits of boilie, a few maggots in there, and some little few pellets, micro pellets, and robin reds in there as well. All sort of mixed up into sort of, it's quite loose. It's not got too much water in it, so I've added a bit of sweetener sort of binder in there as well. Not too much, a little bit. And I find that is like, when it hits the water, it'll just you know, it'll come out of the spod. So it's £20 line. This is a pipe rod I'm using. So I've got 3 out. Just a fairly tight drag on it. Just follow the line and just give it a whirl. It's got the potential to go a long way if I want it to. I'm not actually going to put too much in. I'm just going to put a couple over each one for now, and probably might do the same in the morning. If it's a slow night, we might do it in the morning. We'll see. I'll try and sort of crunch your casters. You might just want to crunch your casters. I can hear them crunching, all that gunge comes out of them. So we're targeting a good bream here, or a tench. There's a chap who walked past. He'd been fishing during the day and he had it at a sniff. So I've only caught very early in the morning here. So, but you've got to be in it to win it, mate. You've got to be in it to win it. It's right in the old blank. So was that 2 or 3? That was 2, I think. Anyway, that'll do. So we don't want to use it all up, but you don't want too much stuff out there. You want sort of depends, because you know you need it to attract the fish and to keep the fish in the swim. But if the fishing's really sort of dire and slow, you don't want so much gunge and bait out there that your hook bait is just lost in it all, you know. So I find little. I mean, even if you're fishing just a method feeder and just like your boilie with it on its own, with just a small amount of ground bait with your method feeder, you know, and let the boilie scent just do the work, you know. So as it gets dark, I might switch one of them over to a boilie, Tutti Frutti boilie or something like that, just because I know it'll stay on the hook, and there's not a lot of coarse fish in here to pinch the baits anyway. So it's like we're fishing. Basically, we're fishing. Just to get your heads up. Basically, just to give us a heads up, we're basically fishing worm, lob worm chopped up, worm kebab on this one. We're fishing maggot feeder on that. Got four red maggots on this one in the middle, and that one there is dendrobina worm with some chopped up bits of worm on that. They've all got sort of ground bait with them. This one's just got maggots, maggot feeder. Quite heavy maggot feeder on that rod. So it'll act, if a tench picks it up, it'll act as a bit of a bolt rig. I've got some other maggot feeders in there, but I noticed they're a bit light. And sometimes they don't hook the fish, as where these method feeders, they act like, with a short hook link, they act like a bolt rig and just hook the fish anyway. If you're slow getting up at your bivvy or whatever, then you've got a chance of hooking them. Anyway, just to let you know, there's a very, very deep patch of water where this one's fishing in. There's like a deep hole out there, probably about 15, 16 feet, something like that, out there. That's where he lives. Now these two are sort of on a shelf of a weed bank, which is not weeded up yet because it's early season, and that's where they're sitting. I've had fish in this area before, so yeah, no one's on the point over there, which I would have liked to have got to really, but there you are. Yeah, so that's where we are at the minute. It's quite mild at the minute, and a lot of people have come down for a fish. So let's see if we get one. But we've had one. It's quite a good one. And funny enough, I've got all these baits. I've got red maggots, and I've got lobworms, dendrobinas, sweet corn. I've got little boilies as well. And that's come on a boilie. So what do? So we've got a worm on the middle one, and we've got a small boilie on the other two. And just debate whether I should put the maggot feeder on one of them. Could put the maggot feeder on this one. Try that. I don't think I'm going to stay another night. I don't think that's worth it. There's some other things I can do. Bank holiday today. It's definitely Tench is starting to wake up. Whether that guy's just going to start whacking the spods out now, I suppose. Don't know what time that fish come. Alright, that's come at about 6, 7 o'clock, something like that. It's not a lot of fish. I'm pleased I've got it, but it's not exactly been red hot, considering I got here yesterday at about, rigged up by 5, probably started fishing by 5, so yeah. So all in all, considering it was April the, I don't know what the date is, it's like the 16th, 15th, 16th, something like that. So there you are. There you go. So that's what we got. That's where he was. So there's a maggot feeder there I could whack on. I could try that. We
could try that. Alright, we'll try that.
I'm not getting off. Now that is definitely my biggest tench. It's alright, buddy. Look at that. That is a beauty. Absolute beauty. That is an absolute clonker, isn't it? Perfect condition. That is a monster. What a tench that is. Right, he's gone back. Go back. That's a beautiful tench. Absolute beauty. Absolute beauty. That's a beauty. Oh. That was a beauty. I didn't think that was going to happen. That's all it was. And that's been out there about 12 hours, that is. That boilie. This is a £1 specimen rod. It's 1 1/4. That thing there is a medium feeder rod, Drennan. I don't know what that one is. I think that's Abu. Is it Shakespeare? This one's Grays. There's a bloody great water rat down there last night, scurrying about, and he's swimming across my swim, going back and forth between this shrub here and round in here. So make sure you wash your hands when you're around the bank. And there was something was crashing into the lines last night, close in. Now, once or twice it was a bird, I could see that, but there was another time when something moved a lot faster. And my guessing was it was probably a small otter, because it went through one line, went through one bite alarm, and then went through another bite alarm, and I was like, what the hell's going on here? And I just caught, in the moonlight, I just caught a glimpse of him. And for me, my brain said otter straight away. I hope I'm wrong, but they're here. So I saw one tench rolling a long way out. Well, it's not a long way out, but further than where I was. There's a blue. There's a kingfisher. Sorry. Just zoomed in there. Zoom in to this thing here. Lovely this morning. I mean, I could stay another night, but you know, I've had a fish. Do you know what I'm saying? That's like mission accomplished. So, you know, staying in there is I'm not going to bother putting any more feed out. Isn't that funny though? You buy all these different fancy baits and you know, different techniques, and the most basic, cheapest sort of £3.50 bag of boilies, you know, does the damage. And that boilie was on that hook. I put it on the hook probably at about 6 o'clock last night, and then the fish took it at 6 in the morning. I'd had the same rig out there, just left it, and he'd found it. That's what he wanted, you know. But I did read up on that particular one, saying that was quite a good technique to use to see if there is anything out there, you know. So I don't know. I don't do it enough to know if it really makes a difference whether the maggot feeder is number one, or whether the worm kebab is overrides the 4 maggots, or what. But I spoke with another angler, and he seemed to be using just little boilies, and he'd had like 5 or 6. This was last year, not this year. I've had a few on maggots where there's nuisance fish about. You know, your maggot feeder, you know, you can't really use natural baits. You'd have to use sort of like a buoyant maggot, those fake maggots sort of things, unless you can get some sinker ones. Well, mine are buoyant, but a lot of people fish with them sort of fake maggots. But for me, it seems a bloody long while to sit about and wait for a take. It really does. You know. Put out a few spawns. I just had a take on this one. Or more of a line bite, really. Checked the bait, and it wasn't sucked or nothing, so we've just been putting them on in that. Spoding with this. Loose crumb on there. And still just that one fish, probably an hour and a half ago, whenever it was. Yeah, you can just leave your rods just out there overnight, especially. You generally just sort of leave them out there. But I did notice on one of the ones when I was just sort of checking it before it got dark, there was a tangle on one of the on the method feeders. So it, you know, effectively, you sort of, you know, if it wasn't for checking it, it would have been down to sort of a rod down overnight. So sometimes it does pay just to sort of, you know, check them every once in a while. But it's handy fishing 3 rods. So we've got on this one, so we've got boilie on this one, we've got worm on that one, and we've got 4 red maggots on this one on a maggot feeder. Generally fishing an area. We've had the fish on, you know, and I didn't even realise a lot of these anglers were there. There's a guy to my right. He was there. The guy over the other side was there. There might have been another guy over there, but there's definitely been some people turn up. Now that area, that bank they're fishing over there, that is, it's a lot shallower along there, but they reckon that's good for bream along there. But the water's still, I'd imagine, still quite cold. So I think when it's cold water, I think you want deep water, really, personally. But when things warm up a bit, that might be the spot to go to. But this far right rod, I know for sure, is definitely in a deep hole, because you can just feel it on the as the method feed is sinking. It's like going and going and going and going. It's in a little hole there. My tench come not far from it, really. But it was more on this angle, the old tench. But we're not gonna stay too much longer. We'll get on and do something else, I think. That is peaceful, though, I must admit. That's the thing about this place and this club. That is peaceful. but for me the fishing's a little bit on the slow side for me.